Okay, let's dive in. Here's a question for you listening. Do you want to become a Proxmox pro? Like really, really master it? Because if you've ever touched a server, maybe built a home lab, or you're just curious about what makes the digital world tick, you probably know virtualization is, well, it's the absolute backbone these days.
It really is. And Proxmox, for so many people, has become the platform. It's open source, it's super flexible,
Right.
and it's got this powerful feature set. You can run basic VMs, containers, even complex Kubernetes clusters. It covers a lot of ground.
Exactly. But what we're talking about today, it isn't just getting Proxmox installed, is it?
No, not at all. It's really about unlocking its full potential. We're talking about getting, blazing speed, rock solid stability, and making it scale without tearing your hair out.
Yeah, whether that's just for fun in your home lab or for like critical stuff at work, the real excitement, I think, is in tweaking those little details that give you those big wins.
Systemic improvements, yeah.
Precisely. And look, the insights we're digging into today, they aren't from some dry manual. This is straight from the trenches. The collective wisdom of online communities.
Yeah. The places where people learn through, let's be honest, trial and error.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of dumb stuff, as one user put it, that eventually turns into real expertise.
Exactly.
So our mission in this deep dive is basically to distill those hard-won lessons. We want to guide you on a practical path from just using Proxmox to really transforming your setup into a powerhouse.
And that's built on, well, getting your hands dirty. Experimentation and really understanding Linux underneath it all.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Where do we start? What's the absolute core principle?
Well, the thing you hear again and again from seasoned users,
Mm.
it's surprisingly simple, but really profound. Don't be afraid to break things.
Break things. Okay.
Yeah, the path to really mastering this stuff, it involves making mistakes. You mess up, you fix it. And crucially, you write down what you learned. It's not just random trial and error. It's more like controlled chaos. Pushing the system, seeing where it creaks, where it breaks.
So you're not just fixing that specific problem.
Exactly. You're building this internal map of how things work, its weak spots, its dependencies, stuff no manual can ever really teach you in the same way.
I love that quote you mentioned, do dumb stuff, fix dumb stuff, and continue to document dumb stuff until you can recognize that it's dumb to do that stuff. It almost sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does a bit.
What is it about Proxmox specifically that makes this cycle, this break, fix, learn cycle, so vital? It sounds like you're saying deliberately poke the bear, pull the power cord, misconfigure a VM on purpose.
Well, yeah, within reason, maybe in a test environment. But yes, that's how you find those weird edge cases before they become real disasters in your actual setup.
Because Proxmox, even with its nice web interface, it's deep, isn't it? There's a lot going on under the hood.
Oh, absolutely. Think about, there was this great example shared by a user. They were setting up a new Proxmox box, and these Realtek network drivers were just causing constant connection headaches.
Oh, Realtek NICs. Yeah, I've been there. Classic Homelab problem.
Right. So they first tried downloading the dependencies on their Ubuntu laptop.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Sure.
Only to realize, oh wait, Proxmox runs on Debian. Needs totally different packages.
Oh, a small detail. Huge difference. That sounds incredibly frustrating, especially when you just want basic networking up.
Immense frustration. Wasted hours, multiple failed attempts. They finally fixed it by just reinstalling Proxmox from scratch, but this time making sure to grab the right drivers during the setup process.
A painful lesson, but a valuable one.
Absolutely. The takeaway is crystal clear. Hardware compatibility really, really matters. And tutorials, they don't cover every single weird combination out there.
No way.
So that failure, that whole ordeal, it wasn't just a setback, it was a stepping stone. It hammered home the solution in a way just reading about it never could. It builds that practical understanding.
Okay, so this break stuff to learn philosophy is great, but how do you actually do it without, constantly torching your main server, your important stuff?
Right, good question. The practical advice, and this is echoed everywhere, is you absolutely need a dedicated test system, something you never have to rely on for anything critical.
So not just a nice to have, but essential.
Totally essential. It's your sandbox, your lab. Its purpose is huge. You can practice automation there, writing scripts that you can run over and over without messing things up, what they call idempotent automation. You can try out crazy configurations, simulate failures like what happens if this disk dies, what happens if the network drops. You refine your whole workflow without risking anything real.
And the payoff?
The payoff is huge. You get a much deeper feel for how Proxmox actually works internally. And, maybe more importantly, you build confidence.
Yeah.
You know you can handle weird stuff when it crops up for real. It's like your personal Proxmox crash course minus the actual crashing of important things.
Right, a crash course without the casualty report. I like that. So, the test system is our sandbox for fearless breaking and fixing. But how much does our success depend on, well, the ground Proxmox is built on?
That's a really critical point because Proxmox, yeah, it's got that great interface, but underneath it all, it's Debian Linux.
Right.
And this leads straight to the next big insight.
Yeah.
Getting good with Linux isn't just helpful, it's basically a prerequisite if you want to unlock Proxmox's real power.
Someone actually said, forget Proxmox for a bit, focus on becoming an 8 out of 10 Linux expert first.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean you need to be like a kernel hacker,
No, no.
but you need a solid grip on how Linux operates.
It totally makes sense. Proxmox is like this sophisticated control panel sitting on top of Linux. If you understand the engine underneath, especially headless Linux, the command line, you have a massive advantage for troubleshooting, for optimizing, for doing anything advanced. It's like driving a car, right? You can get around without knowing how the engine works, sure. But when it starts making weird noises or you want to tune it for better mileage,
You're stuck.
yeah.
Yeah. You need that deeper understanding.
So where should someone start with Linux if they're coming at it from a Proxmox angle?
You got to dive into the fundamentals. How does Linux talk to hardware? How does it manage processes, the stuff that's running? How does networking function at that OS level?
Any good resources jump to mind?
Yeah, actually, Learn Linux TV on YouTube gets mentioned a lot. They have really comprehensive series on both Linux basics and Proxmox itself, taking you from zero to, well, pretty advanced stuff.
Okay.
And practically. Get comfortable with essential command line tools, things like lcpu to see your CPU info, lsblka to check out your disks and partitions, Systemmetal for managing services. These are your diagnostic tools for figuring out bottlenecks or hardware problems quickly.
So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. Learn the Proxmox CLI commands and explore the GUI to see what's happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Understand what the buttons in the GUI are actually doing on the command line. That connection is key.
And it's amazing how specific Linux knowledge directly impacts Proxmox performance, isn't it? Like storage?
Oh, massively. Understanding something like ZFS, which is amazing for data integrity, or maybe LVM for flexible disk management, that's crucial depending on your needs.
Or networking.
Yeah, knowing about VLANs to segment your network, or how Linux bridges connect your VMs to the physical world, all matters.
And then there's integrating other things like Ceph for distributed storage or just setting up backups correctly. That basic Linux knowledge stops you making really costly errors later.
Definitely. And think back to that Realtek driver example again.
Right.
Just checking Linux compatibility for your hardware before you even buy it or install Proxmox. That basic step could save someone literally days of headaches.
Such a simple check, huge impact. Okay, so we've got Linux fundamentals down. Now, all this talk about tweaking and performance. It leads to another really sharp point someone made.
Which is?
Optimization without a use case has no meaning.
Ah, yes. That's a good one. It's not just a clever line. It's like a core strategy. If you want that fast, stable, scalable Proxmox setup, you have to start by figuring out what you actually need.
Right. What are you trying to achieve? Is this a Homelab playground, or is it running critical stuff for a business? Because the answer totally changes how you approach optimization. It stops you chasing ghosts.
Exactly. You've got to nail down your key metrics first. Like, what's the bare minimum storage speed your apps need? We talk about I/O.
And even physical limits, right? Power, cooling, your internet connection bandwidth.
All of it. Without those benchmarks, just saying, I want to optimize is like shooting in the dark. Optimize for what?
I've definitely seen this contrast. Like, at work, maybe optimization is purely about saving cash, less hardware, fewer admin hours.
Yep.
But in a home lab,
Yep.
you might be pushing for raw performance just because you can, squeezing every last drop out of the hardware you've got.
For the fun of it sometimes.
Yeah.
And, one person running what they call production services admitted their setup wasn't like perfectly optimized by the book.
Oh, interesting.
But it worked perfectly for them. It was
Yeah.
reliable, didn't need constant babysitting. And that's the point, isn't it? Optimization isn't about hitting some theoretical ideal. It's about aligning your setup with your goals. Effectiveness over just raw efficiency sometimes.
So, practically speaking, you need to sit down and actually map out your use case. What are you running? What does it need?
Exactly. If it's VMs for a web server, Okay, low latency networking, fast SSDs probably matter most.
Mm.
If you're messing with Kubernetes for container orchestration,
When you're thinking about cluster scaling, resource allocation.
totally different priorities.
Mm.
And a smart idea someone shared, keep a running log.
Yeah.
Jot down potential improvements, things you could optimize. Then, maybe once a quarter, review it. Prioritize what actually makes sense for your goals now, not just what sounds cool.
That avoids the shiny object syndrome of optimization. Focus on what delivers value. Okay, so now let's shift gears a bit. There's another, maybe more thrilling way to really level up your Proxmox skills.
Oh yeah, which is...
Diving headfirst into solving other people's problems.
the forums, yes. Someone actually suggested just jump into the Proxmox forums and try to fix the issues people are posting about.
They even said, if you can solve everything here, there's a good chance you'll never see anything new in the real world. That's quite a claim.
It is, but there's truth to it. The sheer variety of problems you see in forums is incredible. Things you'd never encounter in your own carefully managed setup.
So it's like a simulation. You browse the forums, find a problem someone's having. Maybe it's a weird, spicy clipboard issue for VM interaction or some tricky EFI boot disks setup.
Common pain points.
And then you try to figure it out, maybe test your idea in your own test lab.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the real magic here isn't just helping that one person out.
What is it then?
It's the muscle memory you build. By wrestling with these diverse, real-world problems, researching solutions, testing them, you internalize fixes. You build this huge mental library.
Ah, I see. So when you inevitably hit a snag in your own system later.
You're way faster at diagnosing it. You think, oh, wait, I saw something like this 6 months ago on the forum. It was related to X. It's one thing to read a fix. It's totally different to have personally battled that problem and won.
That makes perfect sense. And speaking of remembering things, as you're solving these problems, or even your own, there's another habit that kept coming up. Document everything. Create a personal wiki.
Oh, absolutely critical advice. Multiple users stress this. That personal wiki is your external brain.
External brain. I like that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You solve some obscure problem, feel like a genius for 5 minutes,
Okay.
and then 3 months later, if you see it again, poof, gone from your memory.
Totally relatable.
That wiki isn't just a record, it's a quick reference. That Realtek driver fix we talked about. The steps to configure your backup server just right, put it in the wiki, saves you solving the same problem twice.
And the act of writing it down forces you to really understand it clearly.
Exactly. It forces clarification. You can't document something well if you don't fully grasp it. So it actually makes you a better troubleshooter just by doing it. It solidifies the learning.
Okay, wiki established. Let's talk scalability. It's a big reason people choose Proxmox, right?
Yeah.
The ability to grow, but it needs planning.
Careful planning, yes. And a key recommendation here is setting up what's called idempotent automation for your admin tasks.
Idempotent, meaning you can run the script or configuration multiple times and it won't break anything. It always results in the same state.
Precisely. Crucial for scaling. Think about adding new VMs, expanding your Ceph storage pool, integrating Kubernetes clusters. Doing that manually over and over is tedious and error-prone. Automation makes it smooth and consistent.
So tools like Ansible or the Proxmox API itself.
Yeah, exactly. Ansible is great for orchestrating configuration across multiple machines. And the Proxmox API lets you script pretty much anything you can do in the web interface. Automating VM provisioning, setting up backup schedules, saves tons of time, reduces errors.
But how do you trust your automation? How do you know it'll hold up when things get messy? I remember that provocative advice.
The yank the power test.
Yeah. Pull the plug now and then, see what breaks, and fix it. Stress test your automation, basically.
It sounds harsh, but it's smart. It forces you to find the weak spots in your automated setup and your recovery plans before a real outage does it for you. It builds resilience.
Makes sense. But what about bigger setups, like enterprise scale? Are there common traps people fall into when trying to scale Proxmox?
Oh, for sure. For bigger environments, scaling means growing without causing disruption. The original poster really emphasized needing a setup that can scale without much fuss.
And the pitfalls.
Often it's neglecting the network design needed for a larger cluster,
Right.
or underestimating the storage I/O load as you add more VMs, or maybe not configuring high availability features correctly.
So things like setting up a proper Proxmox cluster with HA so VMs can automatically migrate if a host fails.
Exactly. Or using Ceph for distributed storage across nodes, which gives you that incredible resilience and scalability. You really need to dig into Proxmox's official docs, maybe check out resources like Learn Linux TV again, to understand how to architect these larger, truly scalable solutions properly. Avoid those common traps.
It really comes back to planning and understanding the tools, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, we've circled around this idea of breaking things and dumb stuff quite a bit. Let's really embrace that failure isn't just, bad luck. It's a teacher.
A powerful one. Proxmox users seem to genuinely see failure as maybe the most essential part of learning this stuff.
That be dumb, fix dumb, prevent dumb quote again.
Right. Every time something goes wrong, a messed up VM setting, that network driver nightmare, it pulls back the curtain on another layer of how complex these systems really are.
Yeah.
It's an involuntary lesson, but super valuable.
The key is the iteration, right? Fix it, document it, and then adjust your setup or your process so that specific thing doesn't happen again. It's a loop.
It's a continuous improvement loop. Think about the person with the Realtek drivers.
Yeah.
They learned the hard way about checking compatibility first. That failure became a valuable piece of knowledge. Similarly, if you intentionally cause problems in your test lab, kill a power, mess up a backup configuration.
You teach yourself how to build in redundancy, how to recover quickly. It's like running fire drills for your servers.
Exactly. Practical disaster prep. So the actionable step is go simulate failures in your test environment. Pull a network cable, overload a VM until it cries uncle, corrupt a config file, maybe back it up first.
Okay.
And then, this is crucial practice, restoring everything. Use your backups. Use your automation scripts. Run through the recovery process.
Because doing that under controlled conditions
Builds immense confidence. It prepares you for the real deal. It's the difference between knowing the theory of recovery and having the muscle memory to actually do it under pressure. That's operational mastery.
Hands-on recovery practice. Got it. Now, while all this hands-on breaking and fixing is clearly vital, sometimes you need a bit more structure, right?
Absolutely. Structured learning can seriously speed things up. There's some great online courses out there. Proxmox themselves offer some, and resources like Learn Linux TV provide a more guided path.
Covering the basics up to advanced stuff like clustering, storage management.
Right. Filling in the gaps that even dedicated experimentation might miss. It complements the hands-on stuff really well.
In thinking about structured help, someone mentioned using AI tools, like generating study guides.
Yeah, that was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Using AI to maybe quiz you on Proxmox details or identify areas where your knowledge is weak could be a quick way to focus your learning.
And beyond just Proxmox itself.
Definitely broaden your horizons. Look at related tech, maybe TrueNAS for advanced network storage, or really digging into Kubernetes for container orchestration if that's your goal.
Like that Cloudfleet solution someone mentioned, a free managed Kubernetes specifically for Proxmox. That sounds like a great way to experiment with modern workloads without the full setup headache.
Exactly. Getting that wider view, understanding how Proxmox fits into the bigger picture with tools like these, it gives you a much more holistic understanding. You see how it all connects.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground, drawing heavily on that community wisdom, but let's talk about that extra 10%. The things that push you from just being proficient to being truly advanced. That edge.
All right, going beyond the common advice, what are those strategies?
First one, get serious about monitoring and logging.
Oh, absolutely critical. Tools like Zabbix or Grafana open source monitoring platforms, they give you real-time eyes on your Proxmox environment.
So you're not flying blind.
Not at all. You can spot performance bottlenecks before they become critical problems. Watching CPU usage, disk IOPS, it tells you what's actually happening and guides your optimization. You're making decisions based on data, not guesswork.
Smart. Second edge. Stay current.
Proxmox moves fast. New updates bring new features, better automation, security fixes, performance boosts all the time.
So subscribe to the newsletter. Follow their blog.
Yes. You need to stay informed about what's new, what's changing. It's an active project, and keeping up is essential for mastery. You don't want to be using outdated practices.
Makes sense. And the final piece of that 10% edge.
Engage with the community, the wider open source community.
More than just reading forums.
Yeah, contribute back. Answer questions on forums if you can. Submit bug reports if you find something genuinely broken. Share useful scripts you've written.
Why is that so powerful?
It deepens your own expertise, forces you to articulate things clearly, plus it builds that sense of connection and ownership. You become part of the ecosystem that makes Proxmox strong, not just someone using it.
Contributing back. I like that. So wrapping this all up, mastering Proxmox really is a journey, isn't it? It's got those moments of pure frustration.
Oh, yeah.
But also those moments of real triumph when you figure something out or make something work beautifully.
Absolutely. And the path seems clear based on all this collective wisdom. Get your hands dirty, experiment, build that solid Linux foundation.
Define what you actually need your use case. Don't optimize blindly.
Right. Solve problems, document everything, embrace automation, and crucially, learn from every single failure. Don't fear the dumb stuff.
And supplement all that with some structured learning and keep a close eye on things with monitoring.
Exactly. That seems to be the roadmap. So for everyone listening, dive into your home lab or your test environment. Tackle those weird edge cases. Let that thrill of optimizing, of making things better drive you.
Your next big Proxmox breakthrough, it might just be one experiment away.